The doctor's voice was calm when he said it. Too calm. Mrs. Lola, you need to rest. Your body is shutting down. Lola lay on that hospital bed, 8 months pregnant, staring at the ceiling of a private ward she had never asked for, in a marriage she no longer recognized. Her hands were swollen. Her feet were swollen. Her back had not stopped aching for 3 weeks. And the woman who had sent her to scrub the entire compound that morning, the woman who called herself her mother-in-law, was sitting in the waiting room outside, telling the nurses that Lola was being dramatic. She's young and strong, the woman had said, loudly enough for Lola to hear. She just doesn't want to walk. Lola closed her eyes. She thought about Femi. She thought about how he used to call her every morning just to pray with her over the phone. She thought about how safe she had felt. And she thought about the exact moment she had thrown all of that away for this. Lola had loved Jamal the way only a young woman who believes in forever can love someone. Completely, recklessly, without any self-protection. She had defended him to her family when they said he was not serious. She had lent him money she did not have when he said he was in a tight spot. She had turned down other men, ignored red flags, and convinced herself that love was supposed to feel this difficult. Because that was what Jamal had told her. Real love is hard work. If it's easy, it's not real. She believed him. Until the day she came to his apartment unannounced with food she had cooked herself. She had used her spare key, walked through the door, and found a woman in his kitchen wearing his shirt and nothing else. Jamal had not even panicked. He had looked at Lola, looked at the woman, and simply said, "I'll call you back." To Lola, not to the other woman, to Lola. That was what broke her. Not the cheating, not the betrayal, but the complete and total absence of shame. She had set the food down on the table very carefully. She had taken her spare key off his keyring, placed it on top of the food, and walked out. She had not cried until she got to her car. And then she had cried so hard she could not drive for 40 minutes. After Jamal, Lola built a wall around herself. Not a small wall, a wall with no gate, no door, no window. She poured herself into work. She kept her friendships but kept them surface level. She went to church, came home, cooked for herself, and slept. She stopped hoping. She told anyone who brought up relationships the same thing. All men are the same. I'm fine on my own. She said it so many times, she started to believe it. Femi came into her life through a mutual friend at a birthday gathering. He was not the loudest person in the room. He was not the most dressed up. He was sitting in the corner talking quietly with someone, laughing softly at something, completely unbothered by the noise around him. Her friend had introduced them. They had talked for maybe 20 minutes that evening. Nothing dramatic, nothing overwhelming. Just a normal, easy conversation. But on her drive home, Lola had caught herself smiling and then immediately felt suspicious of the smile. Femi was persistent in the most non-threatening way possible. He called when he said he would call. He showed up when he said he would show up. He never pushed, never pressured, never made her feel like she owed him anything for his kindness. When she told him about Jamal, he had not tried to compete with the story or make it about himself. He had just listened. And when she finished, he had said quietly, "That must have been really painful. I'm sorry that happened to you." That was it. No grand promises. No, "I'm not like other men." Just acknowledgement. And something in Lola had shifted. Over the months that followed, Femi became the most consistent person in her life. He prayed with her on the phone every morning. When she was sick, he came with food and medicine and sat outside her door because she had not been ready to let him in yet. He had not complained about that. He had respected it. When she finally introduced him to her closest friend, Sandra, her friend had pulled her aside afterward and said, "Lola, don't mess this up." Lola had laughed, but inside, for the first time in years, she had agreed. Their families had met, introductions had gone smoothly, wedding plans had begun. She had started dreaming again, quietly, carefully, like someone learning to walk after a long time of being still. She had been happy, really genuinely, deeply happy. Then Jamal came back. She had not seen him in 2 years. He had sent a message first. "I know I don't deserve a response, but I need you to hear me out." She had not replied. He had sent another one, then another. Then he had called her from a different number. She had picked up by accident, and the moment she heard his voice, she had felt something she had not expected to feel. Not love, but something adjacent to it. The memory of love. The ghost of the girl she had been before he destroyed her. Jamal looked different when she finally agreed to see him. Better, polished. He drove a car that cost more than 3 years of her salary. He wore a watch that she recognized from magazines. He looked like success. He had sat across from her at the restaurant and said everything she had once wanted to hear from him. "I was stupid, I was young, I was careless with the best thing I ever had. I've worked on myself, I've changed, I'm asking for another chance." Lola had listened. Part of her was unmoved, but another part of her, the part that had never fully healed, was listening very carefully. He had not stopped there. He had spoken about the life he wanted to give her, the house he had already bought, the travel they would do, the way he wanted to take care of her in a way he had been too immature to do before. Lola had gone home that night and lain in bed staring at the ceiling. She had called Sandra. "He's back," she had said. Sandra had gone quiet for a moment. "Which one?" "Jamal." A longer silence. "Lola, don't." "He's changed, Sandra. You should see him." "He hasn't changed, he's just richer." "That's not fair. What's not fair is what he did to you. Have you forgotten that kitchen? Have you forgotten sitting in your car for 40 minutes because you couldn't breathe?" Lola had not answered. "What about Femi?" Sandra had asked. And that had been the question that hung in the air long after the call ended. She had told herself she was just thinking, that she had not decided anything, but the thinking had been dangerous. Because every time she thought about Femi, she thought about simplicity. A calm, steady life. A man who worked hard but was not wealthy. A man who loved her genuinely but could not offer her the things Jamal was showing her. And every time she thought about Jamal, she saw the car, the watch, the house he had described, the travel, the version of her life that looked a certain way when photographed. She knew it was shallow. She knew. But knowing something is shallow does not always stop you from wanting it. The conversation with Femi was the hardest thing she had done in years. She had not been honest with him. She had said things like, "I need time," and "I'm confused," and "I need to figure myself out." She had not said Jamal's name. Femi had been quiet for a long time after she spoke. Then he had said, "Lola, is there someone else?" She hesitated 1 second too long, and Femi, careful, perceptive, gentle Femi, had nodded slowly. "Okay," he had said. Just that. Okay. He had not begged, had not argued, had not made a scene. He stood up, picked up his jacket, and paused at the door. "I hope whatever you are choosing is worth what you are leaving." And he walked out. Lola sat in that silence for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and called Jamal. The wedding with Jamal happened faster than she had expected. Looking back, that speed would be one of the first things she should have questioned. There was an urgency to everything. Jamal wanted the introduction done quickly, wanted the date fixed quickly, wanted everything finalized before Lola had time to think too deeply. She had mistaken his urgency for excitement. She had thought he was afraid of losing her again. She had found it romantic. She had met the woman 2 weeks before the wedding. Jamal had brought her into the sitting room with the casual pride of someone presenting something precious. He said, "This is my mother. Mama, this is Lola." The woman looked at Lola from head to toe. A slow, deliberate assessment, the way a buyer examines a product. "She's small," the woman said finally. Not to Lola, to Jamal. Like Lola was not standing right there. "It'll be fine," Jamal said, smiling. Lola pushed the discomfort down and smiled. She had told herself it was nerves, that the woman was just protective, that she would warm up with time. She had not warmed up. From the first week of the marriage, the woman was everywhere. She did not visit, she moved in. Her bags were already in the guest room before the honeymoon was over. Nobody asked Lola's opinion. The woman woke up before Lola and was already in the kitchen when Lola came down in the mornings. Not cooking, just present, watching, waiting to find something wrong. The hair was the first battle. Lola had natural hair that fell past her shoulders. She had taken care of it for years. It was one of the things she loved about herself. 3 days into the marriage, the woman looked at her over breakfast and said, "Why are you carrying all this hair in my son's house?" Lola blinked. "Sorry? That hair, it's too much. It's proud. Cut it." It's just my hair. I've always had..." "Cut it." Jamal said nothing. He kept eating, and his silence was louder than anything he could have said. Lola cut her hair that weekend. She sat in the salon looking at herself in the mirror as the scissors went through years of growth, and she told herself it was just hair. It would grow back. It was never just about the hair. The shorts she wore around the house had to go. "Decent women tie wrapper," the woman had said. "You are a wife now, not a child." The way Lola seasoned her food was wrong. The hours she kept were wrong. The friends she called on the phone were wrong. The way she laughed was too loud. The way she walked was too confident. Everything about Lola was too much or not enough. And every time Lola tried to speak to Jamal about it privately, alone in their room, he had the same response. "She means well, she's just old-fashioned. She lost my father young, I'm all she has, just give her time. She's not used to having another woman in the house, just be patient. Don't make this a big thing, Lola, please." And because Lola loved him, she had absorbed it. Because she had left Femi for this. Because she had made a choice and she could not stand the idea that the choice had been wrong. So she had stayed silent and suffered quietly. When she got pregnant, she had hoped things would change. She had told Jamal first, alone in their room. He had smiled, kissed her forehead, but the smile had not reached his eyes. She had filed that observation away somewhere she did not want to look. When the woman found out, there had been no celebration. "Make sure you eat properly," she had said flatly. "We need a healthy baby." Not, "We need you healthy." Not, "Congratulations. We need a healthy baby." The pregnancy became the hardest season of Lola's life. The chores did not reduce. If anything, they increased. The woman seemed to find more tasks the bigger Lola's belly grew. Heavy buckets, scrubbing, fetching, standing for long hours in the kitchen. When Lola moved slowly because her back was aching, the woman would click her tongue and say, "In our day, we worked until the day the baby came. You people are weak." Jamal traveled frequently during those months, business trips that lasted weeks. When he was home, he was distracted. When he was away, the woman ran the house like a warden. Lola called Sandra once, crying so hard she could barely speak. "Come home," Sandra had said. "Lola, just come home." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I made this choice. I have to make it work." "Lola." I'm fine." She had not been fine. At 8 months, her body had simply given up. She had gone into premature labor on a Tuesday afternoon. She had been alone in the house. The woman was out. Jamal was in Abuja. She had called an ambulance herself, had packed her own hospital bag between contractions, had called Jamal 3 times before he picked up. "Are you serious? Now? I have a meeting." She had not responded. She had just hung up and waited for the ambulance. The baby survived, a boy, small and early but strong. The doctor said he was a fighter. Lola had held him in that hospital bed and felt something so enormous she had no name for it. This small person, this innocent person who had nothing to do with any of the decisions she had made, who deserved everything. She had held him and cried. And for a few days, she had allowed herself to believe that this was the turning point, that the baby would soften things, that Jamal would step into fatherhood and become the man she needed, that the woman would look at the child and let some warmth in. But the strangeness had already been building long before the baby came. Lola had noticed things and talked herself out of them. She had walked past the main bedroom late one night and seen through the slightly open door that the woman was lying on Jamal's side of the bed while Jamal sat at the foot, and they were talking in the low, intimate tones of people sharing secrets. She had told herself she had misread it. She had seen the woman reach up and fix Jamal's collar one morning, her hands lingering on his chest, her face turned up toward his in a way that made her stomach turn. She had told herself the woman was just tactile. She had noticed the way the woman inserted herself between Lola and Jamal whenever they were in the same room, always finding a reason to pull Jamal's attention, always speaking over Lola as though she was not there, always placing a hand on Jamal's arm, his back, his shoulder. She had told herself the woman was just clingy, just dependent, just grieving a husband she had lost, just an old woman whose love for her son had become confused and too attached. She had been very good at making excuses, until Sandra said something that finally broke through. Sandra had visited one afternoon when Jamal and the woman were both out. She had sat in Lola's sitting room, looked around at the controlled, suffocating neatness of the space and said, "This house doesn't feel like you live here." "What do you mean?" "There's nothing of you here. No photos, no your kind of things. It feels like someone else's house and you're just staying." Lola looked around. Sandra was right. Over the months, everything that was distinctly Lola had been removed or relocated. Her books, her small decorations, her photos, all replaced by the woman's choices. "Talk to me," Sandra said, honestly. And for the first time, Lola had told her everything. The things she had seen, the things she had dismissed, the way the woman looked at Jamal, the way Jamal looked back, the sleeping in the same room, the kissing on the lips she had witnessed once and spent 2 weeks convincing herself was a cultural thing. Sandra had been very quiet for a long time. Then she had said, "Lola, that woman is not your mother." "Sandra, I'm not saying it to be dramatic. I'm saying it because everything you've just described to me does not describe a mother and a son. It describes something else entirely." Lola felt the words land somewhere in her chest. "You need to find out the truth," she had said. "Before you go any further with this, before that baby grows up in this house, you need to know what you're really in the middle of." "How?" Sandra leaned forward. "Pretend to travel. Tell them you're going to your mother's for a few days, but don't go. Come and stay with me and leave a recorder in that bedroom." "Sandra, it's necessary." Lola had told Jamal she was going to visit her mother for 3 days. She needed rest after the pregnancy and delivery. He had agreed too quickly. He had even helped her pack. She had noticed that. She had not said anything. She kissed her sleeping son on his forehead, and she had placed a small voice recorder behind the curtain beside the wardrobe. Then she had walked out with her bag and gone to Sandra's flat 10 minutes away. She had returned after 2 days, earlier than she had said. Jamal's car was outside. She sat in a taxi across the road for 20 minutes, walking up the corridor. Then she went in through the back entrance with her key. The house was quiet. She went straight to the bedroom, found the recorder, sat down on the edge of the bed, and pressed play. The first voice she heard was the woman's, but different from the one she knew. Softer, intimate, laughing at something Jamal had said in that low way. Then Jamal's voice, and the sounds that followed. Lola stopped the recording after 40 seconds. She had sat completely still for a long time. Then she went back to the beginning and listened to all of it. Want to find out what she finds out? Subscribe to this channel and type next in the comment section. See you in the next video. Thank you.